a bumbling, buzzing, humming sort of noise that they try to describe, and there's really not a way to do that in human terms. But we sometimes get reports of aliens communicating to each other in a verbal form. All right, now in addition to these exams and procedures that are reported, there's also other kind of activities that abductees report. And some of you here had some of these. Very often, they have teaching or testing sessions with abductees, from childhood through adulthood. Sometimes, and I have this many, many times reported very specifically, and sometimes in more than one generation in the family, they taught me how to walk through walls. They taught me how to pass through solid objects. They taught me how to use my mind to move objects. They taught me how to affect electrical impulses with my brain. They taught me telekinesis. They taught me levitation. Now, the people are able to perform these things when they're with the aliens, but when they get up the next morning and try to walk through that wall, it doesn't happen. All right? So it seems to only work when you're with the aliens, but they're spending years sometimes teaching people how to pass through solid objects. We do know about the crossbreeding activities. Yes, they take sperm, they take ova, they take fetuses. This is a given. It really does happen. But maybe it's not about crossbreeding. Maybe it's about something else. We won't want to talk about that in just a second. I know we're running short on some time, so I want to get down to the nitty-gritty. Often there's an immersion into a pool of liquid that the abductee is forced to inhale, thinking they're going to drown, but they find they can breathe this liquid. Very often they present scenarios or visions of past events in the person's lives or future events on the global scale. They'll show futuristic war scenes, or the planet blowing up, or the moon exploding, or terrible floods, or earthquakes, or chaos as a future event. And this is used as part of the programming. And they often tell us, you're going to have a job to do when this happens. And finally, there is the great variety of sexual activity that is perpetrated upon abductees. And I'm talking almost every variety of the sex act that you can imagine, with aliens, with things we don't even know what they are, and with abductees among abductees. They may take an abductee from one place and an abductee from another and force them into sexual activity together. They don't know each other. They don't know if that person has AIDS. They don't know what the condition is, but they are forced into sexual activity, and this is repeatedly done. In fact, in one case in here that's so heartbreaking, Lisa, the woman in Alabama, last year was abducted, and there was another man, another abductee, that she was forced to engage in a sexual act with, and the man apologized to her very, very deeply. He said, "I'm sorry, they make me do this. They've been taking me since I was a child. I can't help it. I'm sorry." And again, this is reported in many different instances. And I'm not just talking about genital intercourse. I'm talking about a variety of sexual acts. And I'm talking about on people as old as in their 70s and on children as young as 3 years old. In fact, one abductee adult mother of 2 children who was fairly happy with her sexual activity to a certain point, well, she said it's some of the best sex she ever had, was not at all disturbed that she was repeatedly being forced into these sexual encounters until one morning she gets up and her 5-year-old daughter is sexually manipulating the 3-year-old daughter, and aghast she says, "What are you doing?" She says, "Mommy, we're just doing what the little doctors do to us when they come in the bedroom at night." Are they crossbreeding? Are they taking ova from 3-year-old children? I have a problem with this. Now, where do these activities take place? Very often they're right there in your home, in the bedroom, in the living room, in the kitchen, sometimes in the car when you're traveling. Sometimes people are taken aboard what seems to be a UFO craft. Very often they're taken, however, to some facility that is neither in the home nor on the craft. And the reports from people that I call UFO virgins, that is, people who do not study this phenomenon, who very often don't know anybody else has had these things happen, and they wouldn't know Bud Hopkins or John Lear from you or me. That's how little they know. Report identical scenarios, and I want to tell you what these include. They very often include what is clearly an underground facility. And in this underground facility, 3 basic types of activities and setups are reported. The first is what appears to be like a military base, and very often there are humans as well as aliens in this facility, where there are craft and there are activities going on, such as a base might have going on. The second commonly reported underground facility is one in which apparently scientific research seems to be carried out, including, again, both alien and human workers. And the third type is what we've come to call the processing plant. And this, again, often has both human and alien personnel working in it. And in this underground processing plant, what we get reported over and over again is a setup in which human body parts are being processed like chicken or beef. They are being flayed, they are being dismembered, they are being drained of blood, they are sometimes reported stacked up like firewood, sometimes hanging, draining, sometimes going down, being dismembered as they go towards some unknown end facility. I don't make it up, and I don't necessarily believe it's real, but I know that it's what they really put in these people's minds. Whether it's virtual reality or reality, why are they doing it? What is the purpose of such a scenario, either real or imagined? Why would they do this to our people? What does it imply? And these are reported, like I said, from UFO virgins as well as from people who are familiar with this field.